What's up, guys? This is the first ever episode of the Redzone Chronicles. I'm your host, Javi. I'm super excited to start this journey with everybody, and hopefully you guys follow along. This has been a dream of mine for a long time to, just be a one-stop shop for everything NFL. And what a better time to do it than right before the NFL football draft that's coming up. So I wanted to get right into it. I'm going to try to do the first 10 picks today. Let's see how far we can get into it and give a little breakdown of each player. I got my fancy notebook right here, so if you see me looking down, just checking out some things about the player. But yeah, let's get into it. There's not going to be any trades in this, mock draft. There's not going to be anything crazy like that. We're just going to do a stick and pick to make everyone's lives easier, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get into it. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock with the number 1 overall pick. Now, there's a lot of holes in a lot of these top teams that are, 1 through 10 especially. That's why they're picking there. So, the Tennessee Titans have a lot of areas that they need to look into. But, the glaring need, I believe, from looking back at last season was quarterback. I mean, that's kind of the foundation of your team. And, Will Levis is there, and he's competing. But, I think that you can't pass up with somebody that's maybe a generational talent like Cam Ward is. So I think the number 1 overall pick for the Tennessee Titans will be Cam Ward if they stick and pick. He's a quarterback out of Miami, and he's a 6'2", 223-pound quarterback. So got really good size. He's really patient in the pocket. Watched a lot of film on the first 32 players that I'll go through, but for sure I watched a lot of Cam Ward. And he's very patient in the pocket. He can go through his reads. He takes time. He looks through his progressions. And, he's a bigger quarterback, too. He's got good size, so he's a little bit, stronger. He's not going to get pushed around very easily. He has a good stiff arm he can get when he starts to run out of the pocket and things like that. He can stay upright. And I just really think that he can be the answer for the Tennessee Titans. They're in a really good position to take him. And, some things that I noticed that he can work on are, sometimes he does a little bit of hero ball where he tries to make too much out of nothing, which in college he got away with, but I think that in the NFL that you got a lot of top guys in that league that have been either playing for a long time or just super talented. So that might not fly in the NFL, so he's going to have to clean that up a little bit and know when to throw the ball away, take the sack, things of that sort instead of throwing it up and trying to make some kind of hero ball, play. So yes, number 1, I think, to the Tennessee Titans will be Cam Ward out of Miami. That puts the Cleveland Browns at number 2 on the clock. There's been a lot of things going on with the Browns lately, most notably the Myles Garrett saga. He was going to leave, he was going to stay, he was going to leave again, and ultimately he signed and he's there with them again for the foreseeable future. So another team that has a lot of glaring needs, quarterback also being one of them. I wouldn't be shocked if there's some trades in the actual draft here where the Browns are trying to get to the number 1 spot or they maybe take a quarterback here. I think that they really want to keep Myles Garrett happy and help that defense out. And I think that the best overall defensive player that's not really a surprise is Abdul Carter. He's the outside linebacker out of Penn State. 6'3", 259 pounds. A lot of these, heights and weights are going to fluctuate a little bit, guys. So this was from the ESPN, website that I got all this information from. But he is incredible. It's not fair to compare him to Micah Parsons sometimes just because they wear the same number. They both played at Penn State, both played the same position. But the dude is a freak. He is, like I said, the best defensive player in this draft. And there's a lot of great edge rushers and defensive players in this draft. So that's saying a lot. When I was watching his tape, the things that stood out to me were his motor and his bend, his speed. He can line up with his hand in the dirt. He can be, he can be standing up and rush the passer, stop the run. Even for his size, I mean, he's 6'3", 259, but looks a little leaner than that. And but that doesn't matter for him at all. He gets off blocks. He sheds blocks very, very easily for being on the smaller side, if you will. And watching his steps, the way he gets to the quarterback and how quickly he gets to the quarterback was impressive. I mean, he's 1, 2, 3 step. He's already into the the offensive lineman's chest, and he's ripping through. He's doing a spin move. He's rushing. So he's getting there, and I don't think you can pass it up. I think if you want to keep Myles Garrett happy and have start building up that defense, and there's a lot of options here. Of course, like I said, they could go quarterback. They could trade the pick, but if they stick and pick here, with Cam Ward being off, I really do think they're going to go for Abdul Carter to be on the other side of Myles Garrett, and that's a scary 1-2 punch for any team to go against. So yes, Abdul Carter, the outside linebacker, going number 2 to the Cleveland Browns. Now we're at number 3 with the New York Giants, another team that has a lot of glaring holes and areas that they need to address. Again, quarterback is another issue that this team has, but ultimately, I think that watching all these players, there's pretty obviously the best players in each position that are obvious. Like I said, Cam Ward at quarterback, Abdul Carter for defensive player, and I think the Giants are going to go with Travis Hunter out of Colorado. This guy is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal athlete, and guess what? He plays both sides of the ball. He played wide receiver and cornerback at Colorado and excelled at both positions. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the Giants want to do here, because they can put him anywhere. They can put him as receiver with a few reps on defense. You can have him as a full-time cornerback, and also getting some reps on the offensive side as a wide receiver. He's about 6'1", 185 pounds, a little leaner. He's a little skinny, but the guy's unreal. Some of the things that I saw, he understands the route concepts very well. He can basically run every route, in my opinion, on the route tree. And he has the best hands that I've seen on offense and defense, whether it's catching the ball as a wide receiver, in traffic and things like that. He doesn't take unnecessary hits, which is really good to see, especially from a slimmer wide receiver. He knows when to go down or do a spin move, get back outside, and get a couple extra yards and then go down. And then on defense, his tape is unreal as a cornerback. He's what you would call a shutdown cornerback, and he's also got really, really good hands on the defensive side. I think the Giants, if he falls into their lap at 3, again, there's other glaring areas. They could go quarterback as well. But if they stick and pick, I really think that they're going to go with Travis Hunter. He's just a phenomenal player, phenomenal athlete. And from what I've seen, it seems like he's a good person. He has the coaches seem to like him a lot. Coach Sanders, Coach Prime up in Colorado raves about him, so that speaks a lot about him. So, yep, I have the Giants at number 3, taking Travis Hunter out of Colorado. That puts the New England Patriots on the clock at number 4. They didn't have a great season last season, but Drake May looked really good in a lot of games. He looked like he could be their franchise quarterback. Now you need to start building around him, right? You need to get him some weapons. They've done a lot of things in the offseason, getting wide receivers and things of that sort. So I think one of the areas that you want, or one of the things you would want to do with Drake May is protect him, right? You want to make sure that he's protected. And I have them taking Armin Membu. He's the offensive tackle out of Missouri. This guy is a huge player. He stands at 6'3", 314 pounds. Huge offensive lineman, and honestly, I think that Drake May needs that. Needing to start bolstering up that offensive line, keeping him up so he can make the plays, so they can give this second-year Drake May player a chance to excel. And so that's kind of who I think they're going to take. They have a few other areas that they could go with, but I think Armin Membu is the hands down the best offensive lineman in the draft. And I really do think that he's going to complement that offensive line and help keep Drake May upright so he can make some plays. As far as he goes, he gets into his stance really quickly. There's not a lot of wasted movement when he's getting into his stance. He played in the SEC. He moves his hips very well. He like I said, he's just a technical magician, and he gets to where he needs to be. And he played against a lot of really good talent in the SEC. So I really think that Armin Membu is going to be the best choice for the Patriots where he is there, and that'll help them out a lot. That puts Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock at number 5. They've had a roller coaster of the last couple of years, and I really feel like I was kind of underwhelmed by their off-season, free agent movement. They didn't really do too much. They didn't sign very many players. If anything, a lot of players left. They lost Evan Ingram to the Denver Broncos, my team, as I'm really happy about that. But I'm sure that was kind of a hit to them because Evan Ingram is phenomenal. Jacksonville, they just got a new GM. And they're kind of, I don't want to say revamping that team, but they're kind of starting a little bit from the ground up, and they need to get weapons for Trevor Lawrence. He's a good quarterback, and they just need to help him out. They have Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU already, who had a phenomenal rookie season, and I think that they need to complement him with other weapons. And watching this guy's tape, he is unreal. So I think Jacksonville Jaguars at number 5 will take Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. He stands 6'6", 257 pounds. And watching this guy's tape, I'm not trying to compare players. I don't like doing that very often, but he reminded me of George Kittle. This guy is all over the field. He's lining up in the backfield. He's in the slot. He's with a hand in the dirt next to the lineman. He's playing fullback. He's playing quarterback. If you call him a Swiss Army knife, that is literally what this guy is. And he's all over the field. So that was one of the things that stood out to him. There was a play where I watched him literally like the Blind Side movie, that scene where the guy picks up the defensive player and he just takes him all the way out. That's what this guy did in one of the plays. He literally took this dude to the bench basically and sat him down. So he's an amazing blocker. Doesn't run the greatest routes. He doesn't have like every route in the route tree under his tool belt yet. I think he can improve in that area. But he's acrobatic. He's physical when he's catching passes. He has a great catch point. He can get up and use his body and kind of box out defensive players. Being 6'6" totally makes sense. He's a big tight end. And he was a former quarterback, from my understanding, in high school. So, like I said, they'll line him up at quarterback. And he kind of does a jack of all trades. He's got great hands, body adjustment. He's got a very high football IQ from what I could see. And basically, this guy just loves contact. This guy loves violence. This guy loves to get hit. And like I said, I watched videos of George Kittle, when George Kittle's pummeling dudes into the ground and laughing in their face when he just pancaked them. This guy reminds me a lot of George Kittle in that sense, and I think he might still be a little bit bigger than George Kittle. So Jacksonville, Evan Ingram's out the door, and this guy can go in day one, start for them, and just really help out that team that is in dire need of more offensive weapons to kind of help complement Brian Thomas Jr. on the outside and help Trevor Lawrence, who's their franchise quarterback. So Tyler Warren going to Jacksonville Jaguars at number 5. Might be rich for some people. I don't think so. This guy's tape is phenomenal. So that puts us at the number 6 pick with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders have also had an interesting offseason, and they just had a new head coach. Pete Carroll came into the building, and they brought in Geno Smith. So I initially had them going with the quarterback here, but then bringing in Geno Smith on a pretty longer contract term, I don't think they're going to go that route. They'll probably get a quarterback somewhere down the line, but I think here if they stick and pick, you want offensive weapons, right? You want to start revamping that offense. You have Brock Bowers already. You have Geno Smith coming in. You have Pete Carroll. You got these guys. You need to solidify your running backs. I think this is going to be a perfect spot for Ashton Genty. He's the running back out of Boise State. He is 5'9", 215 pounds. Unreal. I'm a UNM Lobo fan, and they're in our conference, Boise State in the Mountain West. And watching him just single-handedly destroy our team, I had to check the tape on this guy, and he's on everyone's radar now. He's probably the best running back in the class. He's got, like I said, he's 5'9". He's not very big. Some of these running backs in here are 6'1", 225 pounds. This guy's 5'9", 215. So not the biggest guy. He's scary. his contact balance, you're not going to get him down with the first hit, the first tackle. He can stay upright if you don't get him down the first time around. He keeps his legs churning. His stance, the way he stands behind the offensive line, he's got a very unique running back stance when he's patiently waiting in the backfield. Like I said, he doesn't go down very often. He does need to improve a little bit in pass protection. Not that he's bad, I just didn't really see a whole lot of it from him. I think that would be a big area of improvement, but that can be sorted out when he gets to the next level. He can shuffle from side to side. He's very patient. He waits for the hole to open up. He's not hurried to get anywhere. He waits for the position, the hole to open up from his offensive line, and then he makes his move. And like I said, he's not worried about getting hit from the first time and going down. He can stay upright, carry 2-3 defenders with him for a little bit, before going down. He's got great vision, and it seems like he's always 1 to 2 moves ahead. He sees the whole field, and I think this is going to be a really exciting player for the Raiders. With that, we got Brock Bowers, you got Geno Smith now, you got Pete Carroll calling the plays. I think they're going to start to revamp that and bring life to that offense again. After losing Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, these other players that they lost in free agency, I think this would be an amazing addition at the number 6 pick. So going off of that, I think number 7, the New York Jets are on the clock. They have a lot of needs. Quarterback is, the very first thing. We don't know what's going on there. Aaron Rodgers, that was a dumpster fire. And they have some glaring needs. Their defense seems honestly pretty good for being a little bit in shambles a little bit, if you will, of where they're going, the direction. They just got Aaron Glenn as the head coach. So that's a huge move. And he is very defensive minded, obviously being a defensive coordinator of the Lions, right? But I still think that they need to start having some kind of identity. And I think if you start on the offensive side with the players that are kind of left right now, or that are on the board, I think that the number 7 overall pick is going to be Will Campbell. He's the offensive lineman from LSU. This guy's a big dude as well. He's 6'6", 323 pounds. There was a lot of conversation about this guy, whether he was going to be a guard or a tackle. He played tackle at LSU. A lot of the criticism was his short arms, but I think that was kind of laid to rest at his pro day. They actually measured in, not terrible. I think the combine, there was some discrepancies in his arm measurements, but he held up just fine at LSU playing at the SEC level. And I think this would be a great plug and play for the Jets to start revamping that offensive line, start getting an identity on offense. Whether it's the grind mode of just you're going to run the ball, you're going to play really hard defense. This guy's perfect for that. Will Campbell is a great choice here. And like I said, he went against SEC talent day in and day out, whether it was practice with his team or obviously on game day with Alabama and all these big time schools and a lot of these players coming out of those schools. So I think the Jets are going to not pass up the opportunity to have Will Campbell there. So we're going to go to pick 8 now. And a little interesting here, it's the Carolina Panthers that have the 8th overall pick. Bryce Young looks good. I think Bryce Young looks like he can be their franchise quarterback after his kind of disastrous rookie season. He came back and kind of proved the haters wrong, if you will. They have a good team. They have Canales is over there as the head coach. So they need to make some moves. I think that they need to start getting an identity like I talked about with the Jets. I think the Carolina Panthers need to have some kind of identity on defense. And this next player that I'm going to pick at the number 8 overall pick is phenomenal as well. I have them taking Jalen Walker. He's the linebacker out of Georgia. He measured in at 6'2", 245 pounds. Georgia's got some freaks overall, but Jalen Walker stood out. He doesn't let tackles or offensive linemen get into his shoulder pads very easy or his chest area. He's got great instincts as a linebacker. He can play on the edge. He can play middle linebacker. He can play between the B gap, if you will. He can do kind of all of it. He can cover tight ends. He can cover some players in the slot. He's just a phenomenal player. He doesn't really stop running. He's very determined. Once he gets going and his instincts, tell him to go, he's relentless. He's got a motor. He's not going to stop going after the quarterback. He's a great spyer as a linebacker. So if you want him to spy you have mobile quarterbacks in the NFL, Lamar Jackson, those types of guys that can get out of the pocket and make you pay for those mistakes. He can be a great spyer. He can just sit back, make sure that the quarterback stays in the pocket, doesn't let him get out, while also keeping everything in front of him. And his sideline to sideline speed is phenomenal. This guy can go from left to right and just get there in a heartbeat. So I think Jalen Walker is going to be a fantastic addition to this Carolina Panthers defense. There's some areas of improvement, of course. I think all of these players obviously have that, but he's a very, very good option for Carolina on the defensive side in this loaded, fantastic defensive draft, in my opinion. So after Jalen Walker goes off the board, the New Orleans Saints are on the board at number 9. The Saints also have some glaring needs. They don't have a quarterback. I mean, they brought Derek Carr back, I think, on a 1-year deal. They got, I think, Spencer Rattler there as well. So this could be a quarterback. This could be a Shadur Sanders or somebody like that. But I really think that they're trying to get their defense back to what it used to be. They have a lot of older players on defense, and Marshawn Lattimore is out, and you have spacing his name, but the defensive tackle that's been there for Cameron Jordan. I'm sorry, that's been there for 15 seasons, it seems like. So you got to start getting younger on the defensive side. And I have them taking Jahdae Barron. He is the cornerback out of Texas. He's 5'11", 200 pounds. And this guy is really fun to see. He's so versatile. He can play the slot. He can play outside as a CB1. He can play as a nickel safety, hybrid role. This guy has all the tools in his tool belt to do any of those things that they ask of him. So he's kind of a jack of all trades on defense. You can line him up anywhere, and he's gonna make some noise. So he's physical and instinctual, and he's very good he always has his hands in the ball. If the person's next to him and the guy has the ball, he's gonna knock it out. He's gonna get there. He causes turnovers. He's a hard hitter. So that's some of the things that I really like. He's a solid tackler, and he has an eye for the ball. The minute that ball gets past, he's running there. He's trying to knock it out. So he's got great ball instincts, and I think that would be a great addition for the Saints to try to just start revamping that defense and get younger, and I think that'd be a fantastic option there for them, actually. So that puts number 10 overall pick. It's going to be the Chicago Bears. They got Caleb Williams last year. That was their number 1 overall pick. And Ryan Poles and the guys over there are, ready to, they got the guy from the Lions that I'm blanking on his name, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator as a head coach. So, they're starting to make some noise again in the NFC North up there, and they have some good teams in there. I mean, you have the Vikings, you have the Packers, and these guys have to keep up with those guys. So I think they're also going to go defense with their number 1 pick, and I do have them taking Michael Williams, or Mikel Williams, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's the edge out of Georgia. And just like Jalen Walker, except this guy's a lot bigger. This guy's 6'5", 265 pounds. And watching his tape, the first thing that stood out to me is he's an incredible run defender. And he's really good, just like Jalen Walker is, about shedding and ripping through blocks. He doesn't let people get into his chest very often. And he's really good about knowing when or when not to disengage from the blocker, from the offensive lineman. When I'm watching him, he's very patient as well. He's getting there, but he's patient enough to where he's dissecting the play. Is this a run play? Is this a pass play? So he does a really good job of being patient and making sure he identifies what the play is before he reacts too much. So he's not like going too far, to go take going for the run and it's actually a play action and now it's a pass and he got beat. So he's really good about being patient with that. And he's a little inconsistent on his get-off speed. Sometimes he's really quick and he's getting to the quarterback and he's there in a heartbeat. Sometimes it takes a few more steps or he gets, blocked up and he can't get off the block for whatever reason. So does need to work on that a little bit. But I think that he can get there. But yeah, there's the first 10 picks of the NFL draft my mock draft. And again, guys, this can go south real quick. All it takes is one trade to completely derail this. So don't come at me in the comments. Just, show some love. But yeah, first 10 picks right here, stick and pick. We didn't do any trades. And I'm looking forward to doing the next set from 11 to 20, if you will, or 11 to 21 I'll do, and do the second set of the mock draft. And if you guys can do me a favor and subscribe, share the video. This is my very first video, and I'm really excited to start this journey, and I would love for your guys' support. And I will talk to you guys soon. So you guys have a good day.